9 News Plus weather sponsored by Carrier Colorado. The future of home comfort is here.
Hey, good Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and for today, cooler than yesterday. Not particularly cool. Highs around seasonal levels in the low 60s. But the story for today will be in the mountains, snow squalls, which are bursts of heavy snow that move through in the next couple of hours. And then for us along the Front Range, I think the big story will be this afternoon and early this evening. We could see a mix of rain and snow and even some graupel. I'll get into all of it here, but it's a bit of a mixed bag for us across much of the state today. Starting to see some signs of that active weather as you look overhead in downtown Denver right now. Some of those high clouds, mid to high level clouds, showing us some of that more active weather that is headed in our direction over the next few hours. This is another view from Lookout Mountain. Again, this is also showing us some of that more active weather that'll be moving its way into the Front Range over the next few hours. Headlines for this afternoon: a few afternoon showers for us, rain, snow mix along with some graupel. Again, I'll kind of break this down for you in more detail in the next few minutes. It is chilly tomorrow. Today, still in the highs and low 60s, relatively seasonal for this time of year, but the next couple of days will be much cooler than average, and isolated showers around for both Thursday and Friday. Still high fire danger for southeast Colorado for both today and likely for tomorrow as well, with red flag warnings and fire weather watches. Remember, we had some of those dust storms that enveloped parts of the southern part of Colorado yesterday. May have that potential once again. Some pretty blustery conditions across southern Colorado, and it also will be breezy at times for us here along the Front Range. Not as windy as it was yesterday, but you will notice the wind at times for us along the Front Range. But again, the strongest winds will be south and east of the Palmer Divide for this afternoon and early this evening. That's also where that highest fire potential will be as well. Temperatures right now, looking at some 50s and 60s on the eastern plains, 40s and even a few cooler 30s for us into the high country at this hour. For today, we'll get on up into the low 60s for us here in town. Chance for some rain, snow, and maybe some graupel between about 4 and 10 p.m. That looks to be the main time window for any active weather for us here along the Front Range. And doesn't look like we'll be seeing much in the way of accumulation, but just something to keep an eye for. 60s, 70s eastern plains for this afternoon, this evening. By the way, Denver's average high for today, 62 degrees, so we're talking about those highs around 61. That is very, very close to our seasonal average for the third week of the month of April. In the mountains, much cooler though, 30s and 40s for those highs. HD Doppler radar showing us some of that snow for us into the mountains, and this will be scooting east as the afternoon wears on. We'll see that snow start to drop its way down into the Front Range, probably again early to mid-afternoon. And for us here in the Denver area, this is the same band of snow that'll be approaching us. Meantime, you're heading through the mountains, I-70, and I think especially as you get north of Highway 50, that's really looking at that tricky travel for us over the next couple of hours. Vail Pass on west, likely a very difficult drive right now. And then as we get to about noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, we'll see some of that heavier snow move its way into the nearer mountains and north of I-70, so places like Rabbit Ears Pass, Berthoud Pass, as well as the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels. Those could be slippery drives and difficult drives between about 12 and 3 p.m. as the potential is there for snow squalls. Those are bursts of some heavier snowfall, and that is something that we're going to be watching for that potential as we get into the early to mid part of the afternoon. So the forecast, again, those snow squalls push their way through the mountains along the Front Range. We've got some rain, probably starts as rain. I think we're pretty confident that we'll start as rain. The question is, this is kind of a fairly uncertain forecast for a couple of reasons. One, the type of precipitation we'll see this afternoon, this evening. And number two, exactly where that area low pressure sets on up here across eastern Colorado. That's going to determine whether or not we're seeing rain, whether or not we're seeing snow, or whether we kind of get entirely shut out here along the Front Range. Some of the shorter term models are trying to basically push all that rain and all that snow east of the I-25 corridor. I still think we're going to get something here in town. I still think we'll see some rain flipping over to a brief period of snow, but it doesn't look like much. But that area low pressure develops in the right area that could actually lead to a bit of an overperformance for us along the Front Range. So again, it's a trickier than usual forecast, but I still think even if we do see a higher end forecast here along the Front Range, we end up seeing say 2-3 inches worth of snow in Denver. It's a low impact snow. It's going to be mainly on colder surfaces like cars and grass, things like that, as opposed to a 3-inch snowstorm that suddenly leaves the roads impassable and makes a real mess out on the roads. I don't think this is going to be that sort of situation. What we're looking at most likely would be at most an inch or 2, maybe 3 on some colder surfaces. So closer look in here at what we can expect here along the Front Range. Again, probably starting as rain. We're actually going to probably boost those temperatures a little higher than expected. We're probably going to get into the low, maybe even mid-60s this afternoon. So we'll start as rain. Question is what happens once a secondary surge of colder air arrives. What will that lead to? And probably means we'll be seeing some snow. Could see a period of grapple. Those are those little slushy snow pellets that we get, or slushy little ice pellets that we get. What that is super cooled water. It's water that is still in water form, even below freezing, and that creates a little layer of slush and ice around it. And long story short, it's those little kind of Dippin' Dots looking things. We could see some of that over the late afternoon hours. Then we'll flip over to snow. Accumulation is not a big deal. The one area to watch for in terms of any maybe more significant accumulations would be along the Palmer Divide above 6,000 feet in elevation. For tonight, early rain and snow probably mostly before midnight. Then we're over and done with all this. And then we'll be talking about drier conditions after midnight. For tomorrow, it's chilly. Highs in the low upper 40s. Remember, our average high for this time of year in the low 60s. We do have the chance for an afternoon rain or snow shower, but probably staying dry in most areas. So for tomorrow, again, a chance. Certainly a few more clouds for the afternoon, but we'll have some rain and snow potential during the afternoon, even slimmer chances than today. So again, don't plan on much. We may see a rain or snow shower, but I intentionally left out the rain or snow shower chance just because it doesn't look like much of anything, and I wouldn't plan around it. Snowfall, again, here in town, not much. Mountains, few inches of snow. We do get a couple of waves of snow for us here into the high country. And then for us here along the Palmer Divide, that's where we have the potential for seeing a couple of inches of wet snow. In town, maybe could get there, but very likely under an inch of snow, and it would be on colder surfaces like car tops and grass. 7-day forecast, once we get past that, temperatures top down, the upper 40s, low 50s through the next few days. Then we get back up to about seasonal averages by Sunday. Monday, one warm day before maybe a bit more rain and some storms for us early next week. But we're really looking for a significant rain snow event. We just haven't had it. In fact, since March the 1st, this has been a very dry spring, our driest start to meteorological spring since 1995. So it's just been a very dry March and April so far, and that's not great news for us. And I'll say this as well, and things on a funny note, well, the Rockies playing such bad baseball right now. I guess we're already counting them out of playoff contention. So we're now moving on for maybe next week getting some thunderstorms in the picture, which means we have the potential for landspout tornadoes. We always have the potential for landspout tornadoes, but anytime we get a thunderstorm here in town, there's always the chance for some of those brief, weaker tornadoes that we get here in we're famed for getting here in eastern Colorado, those land spout tornadoes, and we're just about at what is a land spout season coming up next week. So again, top line takeaways for today, mostly dry until about 4, 5, 6 o'clock or so here in town. Then we'll see some rain. Quickly flips over to maybe a period of ice and snow. Doesn't look like that much. If we see any snow, it would be under an inch of snow in town below 6,000 feet. Palmer Divide, a few inches of snow possible, mostly on colder surfaces like grass and car tops. And then tomorrow, it stays chilly. Same for Friday, same for Saturday. Warms back up for Sunday and early next week. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson will have an update for you coming up at 9 News at noon and at 2 p.m. here on 9 News Plus. And then Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabins in at 4 and 5. The meteorologist Danielle Grant in at 6, 9, 10 here on the 9 News family of networks. Once again, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.